Hey guys, Daniel Mar Reviews here, and in this video I'm going to be doing a review on my iPhone SE 2nd generation that I got December 25th, so Christmas Day 2020. So I had the iPhone 6s that I got on Christmas Day of 2018, but the fact that it's a 5-year-old phone, it likely had its final software update in September for iOS 14, and it was definitely starting to show its age. It wasn't the slowest phone, it was actually still pretty good for a phone that's 5 years old, but it was still definitely starting to show its age, and of course my contract with it was up as well. So I thought obviously now would be a better time to upgrade. So I decided to go for the iPhone SE because it was a cheaper option, and you know, I don't really care for the more higher end iPhones. I'm fine with this because, you know, it still runs the same software. It's still going to get at least 5 years of updates, and it's still a lower price. So I thought, hey, you know, it's better to go for this. So I'm going to go over a few things, and then we're going to go over the technical specs, and I'm going to talk about my personal experience. So I decided to go for the product red, which I think absolutely looks stunning, and out of all the devices I owned, I think this backing right here is probably the nicest I've ever seen on an iPhone. So we're just going to get a look at the phone right now. As you can see, here's more of the product red right here. This has a lightning port at the bottom with the stereo speakers. As you can see, there's no headphone jack. That's where the AirPods come in handy. You can see the rear facing camera right here, and again, the front just looks like a traditional iPhone. It looks like basically the design since the iPhone 6. You can see your volume buttons, the mute switch, and the on and off button right there. So again, just looks like a traditional iPhone, minus of course the headphone jack, which obviously no iPhone has had since the iPhone 7. So now we're going to go over all the technical stuff about this. This has a 4.7-inch Retina HD display with a resolution of 1334 by 750 pixels and a pixel density of 326. On the inside, this has a hexa-core Apple A13 Bionic chip that's clocked at 2.66 gigahertz. This also has 3 gigabytes of RAM. These aren't the absolute greatest specs for a smartphone in 2021, but for the price of $400 US and $600 Canadian, I'd say this is a pretty good deal. This has a 12 megapixel rear facing camera. Here's the rear facing camera right here. And a 7 megapixel FaceTime HD camera. This is a test of the front facing camera, and the quality on here is amazing. Something about the newer iPhones as well is that you can change the quality setting while on the camera app. So as you can see, this is 1080p 60 frames per second. See there, it's 4K. On older iPhones, you'd have to go to settings, where fortunately on the iPhone SE, you don't have to. You can do this all in the camera app. Portrait photo is another interesting feature that's available on the iPhone SE. It's a cool feature, even though the colors aren't that accurate, but it definitely is an interesting feature to play around with, and the quality is actually amazing on it. The battery life on here is pretty good. It's obviously a lot better than my iPhone 6s. This has an 1821 milliamp battery. It lasts a lot longer than my 6s. Over the night, it doesn't drain down as much, which is definitely a big plus. And right now, my battery health is at 100%, but I suspect that is probably going to go down a little bit sooner as I've consumed more from my phone as time went on. So in terms of my own personal experience, I definitely do enjoy this phone. I don't do much on this, you know, I just do the basic stuff, social media, texting, calling, and taking photos. I did attempt to edit a video on this. I edited the last video about the buses, unboxing those buses up there, and let me tell you, that was a pain in the ass to do. Simply because this phone is really small. It's the same size as the iPhone 6s, 4.7 inches, so that's compact by 2021 standards. A phone this size is just not meant for video editing. Now, when I was video editing, I mean, it wasn't slow by any means, because that A13 chip really does help with this, but it was just very claustrophobic because of the 4.7-inch screen. This video you're watching will be edited on the iPad Pro 10.5-inch, and that's one of the only downsides about this phone too, is that it is small compared to other iPhones and even compared to the competition. Samsung has a Galaxy S10e that has a larger screen than this, so that's one of the downsides of this phone. Other than that, with the A13 chip on here, everything on here feels really fast, smooth. You know, going onto social media, obviously coming from a 6S, that's a 5-year-old phone, this is going to be way faster, but you know, when I'm going on to YouTube or Facebook, I just notice it's you know, it's very snappy. And for the price of $400 American and $600 Canadian, you're getting a phone that runs the same software as the iPhone 12 and will likely get at least 5 years of updates, and the A13 chip, which is pretty powerful still and still fairly recent. It's only about roughly a year and a half old, and this phone came out in March of 2020. So you're still getting decently recent specs, and again, this will last you at least 5 years roughly. Obviously it lacks the big features and stuff like that, but if you want something just basic and you're in the Apple ecosystem already, I would totally recommend the iPhone SE. And I mean, it does kind of have the ancient iPhone design, but I mean, you know what? Some people do prefer that. Again, it's one of these phones where you're not going to do anything intense, you know. With this, you're just mostly going to do simple things like taking pictures and videos. And again, the camera on here is amazing too. Social media, that kind of stuff. And the A13 chip really makes all of that everyday use feel seamless on this. So again, for the price of 600 Canadian dollars or 400 US dollars, I would definitely recommend this, again, if you want a basic phone that is still powerful enough to, you know, run iOS smoothly, and of course a phone that's a budget option. So if you're looking for all of that, I would definitely recommend this phone. Anyways, hope you enjoyed this video. That's it. See you guys.